What's up guys, it's Chris Majestic, and what I have with me here today is not a huge RC car, it's actually a robotic lawnmower that I've been testing out for the past few months, and it might just be the best one I've seen so far. So what is this thing? Well, this is the Luba 5000, which is made by a brand called Mammotion. The Luba 5000 is a wire-free all-wheel drive robotic lawnmower. So traditionally, robotic mowers have required you to lay perimeter wire around your property to set boundaries so the robot knows not to cross over the line. Being wire-free means the Luba uses the latest and greatest GPS technology to create a virtual boundary for your property so you don't have to spend a ton of time and money installing that perimeter. And aside from being wire-free, another thing that makes the Luba stand out from other robot mowers is that it covers a much larger area. So the Luba has a few different versions. There's the Luba 1000, 3000, and 5000. The main differences between each version is their lawn size coverage, battery life, and the type of inclines they can handle, with the Luba 5000 being capable of hills up to 75% or a 37-degree incline. So the version we have with us today is the Luba 5000, and mine has a good bit of wear on it since it's been cutting my lawn for a few months now. I'd say this is probably one of the most recognizable lawnmowers with its cool race car design. On top of the mower, you'll find a large emergency stop button, which you can obviously use to stop the mower if it's cutting. It also has a few more buttons on top, including a power button, a mow button you can use to resume mowing, a home button which will send the mower back to the charging station, and a start button. It also has rain sensors so you won't have to worry about the mower cutting your grass in the rain. And if you're wondering why I have Velcro strips on top of mine, I'll explain that a bit later in the video. On the front of the unit, you'll see 4 ultrasonic sensors which it uses for navigation, and on the sides as well as the very front are going to be bumpers which are also used for navigation. On the back of the unit, you'll find the security key which allows the unit to function when it's inserted, a SIM card slot for a potential cellular connection in the future, a USB port, charging contacts for the charging station, and an infrared receiver. So as I mentioned earlier, the Luba can cover really big lawns thanks to its dual cutting discs. Each disc has 4 replaceable blades for a total of 8 blades, providing a huge 16-inch cutting width. There have been a couple of design changes on the Luba since its inception, and what I have here today is the latest version, with the most recent change being the upgraded front wheels. The previous version of the Luba had hard rubber wheels which sort of looked like race car tires, and even though those wheels worked well with the all-wheel drive system, in certain instances they were kind of harsh on the grass, so Mammotion decided to redesign the front wheels with a new omnidirectional system so it could maneuver more easily without being too harsh on your lawn. Alright, so how hard was it to set this thing up? Well, I had no problem getting it up and running. In the box you get a bunch of accessories including wires for everything, the RTK antenna, pole for the antenna, and of course a fully assembled mower. Now it's not technically fully assembled since you do still have to install the front bumper, but that's really all you need to do with it. And the Mammotion app also makes the process really easy. Now considering the Luba doesn't cut the area immediately surrounding the base station, I ended up buying some pavers from my local hardware store and put them under the base station, creating sort of like a driveway for the mower to park on. And Mammotion also offers what they call the Luba Garage, which keeps the mower covered while it's parked if you don't want the sun or rain beating down on it all day. And some people have gotten really creative with their Luba mowers, putting them in dog houses and all sorts of cool creations. Now it is important to note that the more GPS satellites that the antenna or RTK station can access, the better your experience will be with the mower, so it's best to install the RTK as high as possible and away from any trees or other obstacles. Now I originally installed mine right onto the base station, and even though this worked okay, I found that it worked much better up higher on my deck, and I eventually ended up taping it to a pole as a temporary test to get it up even higher, which helped even more. And Mammotion does sell a nice wall mount if you're interested in mounting it up high on the side of your house. So once you get your property all mapped out, you can start cutting. But before I get into my cutting experience, I want to take a quick moment to talk about today's video sponsor. So if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Anchor. They make all sorts of cool products and accessories, and I use several of their products every day. Well, Solix is a sub-brand of Anchor that focuses on providing innovative energy solutions. And right now they have a Kickstarter for a new product known as the Anchor Solix F3800. The F3800 is a home power system that has enough power to provide backup power for your entire home. And it's not just limited to your house. You can use it to directly power an RV or even directly charge your EV with it. Now we all know that solar energy is fantastic, but the biggest downside downside is that you can only really use it during the day. This is why battery systems for solar panels are becoming more popular. And if you've ever priced a battery system for your solar panels, you've seen how costly and complicated it can be. Well, the F3800 can tie directly into your solar energy system and store this energy as backup power for you to use in your home anytime, which is perfect during blackouts. And with a massive 6,000 watts in one unit, along with support for 120 and 240 volt dual voltage, the F3800 can power your entire home, including your large appliances. And you don't have to keep it outside. You get silent operation, no gas, no fumes, and no maintenance costs. And since it's portable, it doesn't have to stay in one spot, so you can easily move it around your house, or you can use it somewhere else, making the Anker Solix F3800 the most accessible home power system. And right now, if you jump in early on the Kickstarter, you can get up to 35% off the F3800. And if you do want to get in on that Kickstarter today, make sure you use the link in the video description so you can make sure you're getting the best deal. I want to thank Anker for sponsoring this portion of today's video, and let's get back to cutting the lawn from the couch. So once you get your property mapped out, you can start cutting. And the Luba app is really intuitive, and I love the amount of customization they give you for cutting your lawn. You can connect to the mower via Bluetooth, or you can connect to it using Wi-Fi if you have a good Wi-Fi signal outside. And if you are connecting through Bluetooth, you can manually control the mower using your phone, which is great if it gets stuck or if you want some extra control. Now, unfortunately, you can't drive it over Wi-Fi like you can with Bluetooth, but you can still perform all the other functions and start a cutting task whether you're at home or away. My property is just under a quarter acre, so the 5,000 is way more than enough for my lawn, but I ended up breaking my property up into 7 zones, which allows me to split my cutting jobs into different chunks, which is nice. You can also easily create no-go zones, which is good for gardens, plants, or bushes, but I found that I didn't need to use any no-go zones in my lawn. And when it comes to cutting, you get a few different preset task modes, such as high grass, efficient, fine cutting, or custom. Under the custom setting, you get an insane amount of cutting options, so you can get the cut exactly how you want it. You can even adjust the cutting route angle, which gives you those cool diagonal lines. And speaking of my lawn, I know I don't have the best looking lawn by anyone's standards, but I can honestly say that my lawn has never looked better. At first, I was a bit worried that the omnidirectional design of the wheels were going to cause issues with swaying or keeping the unit straight, but the Luba's all-wheel drive system gives me straight and even cuts, even though I have a ton of hills and dips in my lawn. And another thing that surprised me was how quiet this thing is. It's quiet enough that you can cut in the middle of the night without a knock on the door from one of your neighbors, and considering it's not relying on cameras for navigation, it does a great job cutting in the dark. And when it comes to obstacle avoidance, it has 3 different options. It has level 0, which disables the obstacle avoidance altogether, level 1, which uses a mixture of the ultrasonic sensors and the front bumper to slow down and slightly bump objects and then go around them, or level 2, which uses the ultrasonic sensors to avoid contact with obstacles altogether. Now, earlier I mentioned that I had Velcro on top of the mower. Well, that's actually for my solar-powered surveillance camera. So considering the mower sits out in the sun all day, I figured a solar-powered camera would be perfect to sit on top of it, and the Eufy Solo Cam S220 works great for this. Now, of course, this is completely unnecessary, but it is cool to watch the mower cut, and it can be helpful if the Luba ever gets stuck somewhere and you're having a hard time finding it. Alright, so I think it's pretty obvious that I'm a big fan of the Luba 5000, but as I always say on this channel, no product is perfect, so what are the things I don't like? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the RTK system works best when the antenna is mounted up high. Well, even with mine being mounted up about 15 feet off the ground, I found that the robot would still lose its GPS signal and stop mowing when navigating in certain areas. Now, the good thing is once the GPS signal improves, it will continue the task, but I do have to admit that I did find it a bit annoying whenever I saw the task pause notification on my phone. Another minor annoyance is the Luba locking itself whenever it gets stuck. So whenever this happens, you can't do anything from your phone. You have to go outside and manually press the buttons on top of the mower to get it to move. I think it would be nice if they allowed us to drive the mower out of a pinch over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, but unfortunately you can't. And honestly, for this reason, I don't really feel comfortable running the mower when I'm away from the house. Another glaring thing that Mammotion hasn't really talked much about is theft. Now, I did mention earlier in the video that there is a SIM card tray for you to possibly put a SIM card in there, which can obviously be used for you to be able to track it wherever it goes. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything about that being active. So when it comes to preventing theft of this unit, I'm not really sure what Mammotion has in mind. Another thing to consider is that grass had a tendency to get caught under the blade, so some of them might get stuck in the wrong direction, so you do need to keep an eye on it. But other than that, the only other thing is really to try keeping it clean, and with it being white, that can be a bit of a tall task. Thankfully, with its IPX6 water resistance, you can easily wash it off with a water hose without worrying about destroying it. Alright, so with all that being said, is this mower good enough that you won't ever have to go outside and cut your grass ever again? Well, as I say with pretty much every robot mower, you will still have to go outside and trim your lawn if you want it to look its best. Now, I do have to say that I was really surprised that I went through the entire summer and never pulled out my big lawnmower. All I really needed was the Luba and a trimmer. This is especially true now that they've added manual mowing with your phone, so you can cut pretty much anywhere now. This is really helpful for places where the Luba doesn't have a good signal or somewhere where you don't want to rely on its built-in navigation. Alright, so now it's time to talk about pricing. So how much is the Luba gonna set you back? Well, right now the Luba 1000 retails for $1,900, the 2000 goes for $2,400, and the 5000 is $2,800. So obviously none of these are cheap, but Mammotion constantly runs sales, so make sure you check the links in the video description as I'll post links to the best deal I can find. Now, when it comes to robot mowers, I know people are going to be in the comments section talking about how I can use the exercise, and they're definitely right, but it doesn't change the fact that the mower is doing a better job cutting my lawn than I ever did. And the fact that I didn't have to pull out my lawnmower on those 95-degree summer days is actually pretty cool. But I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Do you think this is the future? Are we going to end up seeing a bunch of robot lawnmowers in everybody's lawn in 10 years? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section and let's get a conversation started. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button if you found this video helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any new videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.